Good morning, everyone. I know it's a little early in the morning to come and hear me talk. First of all, I will say the best part of being an entrepreneur is that I get to address a wonderful audience, like all the lovely ladies here. And so thank you very much, Times of India, and thank you, my friends Ankana at TAI for inviting me to be here and speak to you. In my opinion, whoever is here this morning already has the entrepreneur mindset. And what do I define as the entrepreneur mindset? Entrepreneur is someone who no one has to tell them what to do. It's their own self-drive, it's their own wish, it's their own willingness to do what they want. And I think that is really an entrepreneur. The fact that all of you woke up early morning, I'm pretty sure at least 50% of us went to some other Shanmukhananda, took circles around whole of Dadar, asked 55 people and then turned up out here. So I'm sure all the people working nearby wondering, who are these ladies turning up early morning at this hall? So fortunately we all made it on time. But it's really interesting because, when I look at women, I generally in my brain categorize them in two different kinds of mindset. I say one is the academic mindset and one is the entrepreneur mindset. The academic mindset typically are very good at doing what work is given to them. They generally like a syllabus, they like more structure, they like more planning, they like more certainty, they like a leader, etc. And then us entrepreneurs are those who don't listen, who probably didn't come first in class, who probably got punished and thrown out of class, who probably still got punished again and thrown out of class because we like to do what we want to do. And I think that is the most important part of being an entrepreneur, that every single day you have to wake up, no matter how exhausted you are, and say, I want to wake up and I want to do, here's what I want to do, and I'm going to go ahead and do it. The biggest part of being an entrepreneur is that no one's going to listen to you in the beginning, no one's going to buy your ideas, and this can include your family members. So I'll just share my short story. You hardly have it up there. It looks very fancy when it's on one PowerPoint, but it's a lot of hard work gone into everything. When I was always entrepreneurial as a kid. I'm a Bombay girl. I went to Queen Mary School, an all-girls school where, of course, if you broke too many rules, you'd get punished. And so I said, when I was 16, I said, look, I want to get out of this system. The education system here is not something that will allow someone like me to blossom. And so I applied to university in the US. I got in. And then I went and told my parents that, look, I want to go to the US to study. And I had never even taken a taxi alone at that age. And my father said, are you sure? Are you crazy? No way. With short course kar le, etc. And I said, look, I'm going. I've done my housing, my visa, my banking, my applications, classes, everything. Fortunately, my mother, who was actually the one who everyone thought was the panicky one, was the one who supported me. And she said, look, Devita has worked 1 year for this, let her go. And I think that always happens in all of our families. There's someone who's immediately scared for you, but then someone who supports you, someone who encourages you, and someone probably who brings you down. Interestingly, my father, once I went to the US, he was most excited and he made it seem as if it was his idea. And that is what I realized made him such a rich man, is he takes people's idea and then he says, yeah, that is something I was saying all along. For example, when I started View when I was 24, so I went abroad, I did pretty well out there, came back, joined the business, which is Zenith. I really enjoyed being in that because I traveled every possible state in India, meeting our dealers, distributors, and team members, and understanding India as a country and understanding India as a business. And that's my first tip to all of you. If you want to do business in India, please take a lot of effort to understand the Indian market. Especially I find Mumbai is a bit of an insular town where people have no experience of what's happening outside. Especially spoiled South Bombay girls like me have no clue what's happening beyond the sea link. That's not going to help you if you're going to do business out here. Even if you've studied in a fancy foreign university, it's all useless if you can't count in Hindi and you don't know how to get business done in Delhi. So first tip, understand your own city, understand your own country. Take a road trip, just go out there and meet people. I spent 4 days in Delhi. I just came back. It's a very different place, let me tell you. If you want to business nationally, go out there and meet people. So that's what I did at Zenith. It was a lot of fun, apart from getting to brush up my Hindi, was really seeing what makes people tick in India, what makes them buy, what gets them enthusiastic, what makes them trust you, what makes them work for you. And then I soon felt, and this was in 2005, 2006, I said, look, India as a country is really changing, consumer tastes are changing. And so I had this idea that I brought to my father, who is my boss, and I said, look, we should do this high-end product and this whole idea of luxury and technology. Now let me tell you one thing, as an entrepreneur, you have to be willing. It's going to take years before people buy your idea. So I said, people are paying 50 rupees for a cup of coffee. Obviously consumer tastes are changing. You have all these foreign brands out here. They're spending 50,000 for a mobile phone. We have to do something different. So that is when I started View. View is called View because it's a display company. So it's what you see, it's what you view. And that's tip number 2. Keep a very interesting name for your business. It's a story. My visiting card is transparent with the View logo on it. First thing when I meet people, are like, oh, interesting, what does your company do? And that's when I get into my sales talk. So please don't name your company after your father's mother, brothers, sisters, God, building, whatever it is. Make it relevant to your business. And in marketing, they call it a zebra word. A zebra word is a word that you coin. And it's easier to get a domain name for that. So we just again got the domain name tech.view, which is very funky. It's very different. So spend time really getting a good name for your business. I love naming businesses, and one of the things that I do for fun is if my friends have a business coming up and they're like, what should we name this product or business or kid, I always have some suggestions. So if any of you want ideas for your names for your business, please feel free to write to me. I'll share my email address at the end. So I started this View Technologies, and let me tell you, at that beginning, when I was 24 when I started, I barely had a clue what I was doing myself. But I made this high-end product and I realized it's not going to fit into the electronic stores. Even Chroma didn't exist at that point. So I put up my own stores. I took the country's best product designers, put them to the job. This was supposed to open on my 25th birthday. Everything was supposed to be set, and what do you think will happen? Well, nothing. The store was a complete disaster. It was a mess. There were wires coming out. There were construction people had just deserted the site. The architect wouldn't take my calls, and I was absolutely desolate. I said, look, I have this big launch happening. What on earth's happening? So my elder brother at that point told me something which is very true. He's saying, look, you understand design. Just go ahead and build it yourself. Tip number 3, get your hands dirty. And if there's a skill that you know yourself, please don't outsource it. Do it yourself. Till date, at View, we don't have a single ad agency. We do everything in-house. 3 weeks ago, we did a video ad which we shot, a TV commercial with some foreign hockey players for a team that we bought. We did it in-house with the full team. I was production assistant on the set. It was a lot of fun. If there's something that you know, don't outsource it. If there's something that you hate doing, then outsource it. That's tip number 3. So I started with this store. I put it together, of course. I went to Lohar Chal, whatever material was required, put the family carpenter, got my team, which at that time was very young and kacha and impressionable. Fortunately, they're still with me today because they've had a good time and their careers have grown. But we all worked really hard and we put together this beautiful store, which at that time just blew people's minds. They're saying, wow, what is this? We've never seen such a high-end electronics store. We've never seen products like these. And of course, 3 years after I did that whole luxury and technology, there was an interview of CNBC of myself, my father, by Shireen Bhan. And Shireen asked my father, so what about View? And my dad's like, that is our luxury brand. And I was like, Dad, he's like, what am I kabse bol raha hu? I said, hello, it was my idea. So always remember that people will want to own your ideas. You need to make yourself, that's tip number 4, you need to make your name synonymous with your business. Today, at least in this country, when people say luxury and technology, hopefully they'll think of my name, hopefully they'll think of View. We are selling our products today in 60 countries, we're selling our products in the US. Where I am going, hopefully, by the end of the week, if they don't put more political pressure on me to cancel, which is a whole different story. Please don't get under pressure. I've been getting calls from politicians and journalists and industrialists alike, giving me threats that if I speak at Wharton, they will break my store or do whatever the hell they have to. But I said, look, I have got Stree Shakti and I am going. So I started this business. Now here's the other thing, tip number 572 or something. Whatever you start your business with is going to go on a different route. So I started this business with really high-end tech products, with what we call the digital home, with digital products, with what we call the intelligent home, etc., which had large screens, which had fancy speakers and a PC, etc. What happened? Customers didn't understand what we're selling. This was 6 years ago. People are like, what is this? Pata nahi, thoda complicated hai. And then my dad / my boss again said that you have so much inventory, ab kuch kar, crore ka inventory hai, kuch kar. So you need someone to always put pressure on you. Make sure that you have someone, even if that person is not related to your business, who puts pressure on you. So I said, fine, this whole venture of mine is not going to work. I'll just sell off whatever is there. So my dad's like, look, I'll take away the PCs. I'll sell that at Zen. What are you going to do with these large LCD TVs that you've called for? Crore ka inventory hai, kya karne wali hai? And so I told my store guys, and that's the other thing, please put a CCTV camera in all your stores. You will learn much more by being on the shop floor than you'll do in any fancy course or a seminar like this. I saw that customers are coming in and saying, can we buy just the TV? And I said, yeah, please, just to get rid of my inventory, jo bhi hai, separately bech do. So Chroma comes in, a couple of high-end customers come in and they say, look, we love your TVs, can we just buy the TV? So here's the chance that I had to make that big leap from going from a small boutique store to, please come in ladies, there's a spot in the front. It's like, you go to class and the person who enters late gets the front bench. How fun is this? And so I started to sell off these TVs, and that's how we entered the business. Today at Chroma store, the only TVs you get are Sony, Samsung, LG and View. They've thrown out all the other brands. In the past 6 years that I have been in the TV space, umpteen brands have come from very large groups who have 10 times the amount of money, and they have exited just because they have felt competition from us. Now what did we do right? And this is where Zankana specifically wants me to make points to everyone, that look, part of it has to be inspiration and part of it has to be whatever, instruction or something. What are my key points? A, be very creative in your marketing. However, a big budget is not going to help you. Let me tell you, a big budget is only going to give you terrible marketing. Because what does my competition do when they have big budgets? They hire some film star, they hire people from the competition, they feed the channel partners lots of alcohol and entertainment, they give rubbish products and they exit the market having burnt up the money. What do? I'm very stingy, I'm a Marwadi, I'm extremely conjuice, I count every rupee out there. I really make sure at my marketing, A, it's driven by a good idea. So we never said, ye budget hai aur fit karo. We always say, this is what we want to do, how can we get it done? So first, marketing and budget separated. Think of creative ideas. As much as you can, do it in-house. Get designers, get your friends who are designers, get people who you know, but get it in-house and have the final say on that. So we do very innovative, fun things with our marketing. I'll just give you an example just because this is anecdotal. But when I was building my store at Phoenix, now of course my store at Nariman Point, since then we've grown a lot, we have stores nationally and across the world. This was many years ago. But take my store at Phoenix Mill, there's a beautiful location out there. And nobody wanted that location because it was right in the front, because there's a pillar right in the middle of the store. Now, the way my brain said that this is a great location, but this pillar is a hindrance, how do we work around it? So again, I have a really young team, which is the other thing. Hire people of your age or hire people younger. Hire some senior people you will need, keep a good mix, but really focus on pushing your younger team. So I told my young team that, look, I have this pillar, I'm getting this store, what should we do? Is there something we can come up with it? Can we cover it with screens or something? And my engineer came up with the idea that we could cover the screens with a video and make it like a video wall, a video pillar, and no one had done this before. And so we built the store, we added that, it looked beautiful today, that is the highlight of my store. So that's the second thing. What's going to make you an entrepreneur is the fact that you want to do what you want to do. What's going to make you a successful entrepreneur is when you have to do something that you don't want to do, but you do it really well. So that is just an example of how my teams and my brains work, which is a very important aspect. Tip number 10, have a good team. Don't bother hiring expensive people. Don't bother hiring people who have the best English. Don't bother hiring people who come with 500 years of experience. Don't bother hiring from the competition or something. Hire people who are good people. We've thrown out people in the company if I felt that they don't respect women or they don't have the right values. You can take someone really junior and mentor them and do the job. I'll give you a small example, and this is something that touches all our hearts at the View team. There was a guy at my Nariman Point store. My store was all white. His job was to do nothing, and he was those cleaner boys who wear those apron and caps and whole day just sweeping around. His only job was to wipe fingerprints from the TVs when customers would come and touch. So his whole job all day was on the glass, on the TVs, on the wall, was to wipe fingerprints. Today, he's a salesman at my store. He's doing 7 lakhs of sales. He is the most well-dressed person, I would say, amongst my entire team. He probably still lives in a chal, but he is growing. He, for me, exemplifies more class and luxury than people who live in very fancy houses. And I always share that with my team, that if my company emotion is luxury, I have to make sure right down to my van drivers, they understand luxury. If your emotion in your business is about good service, make sure everybody understands it. If it's about beautiful products, make sure everybody understands it. If it's about some technological advantage, make sure everybody understands it. That's the other thing that you have to do, is spend time with your team, but be very strict. I'm extremely strict. There's a line that my team loves to use when it comes to me, which says, "Ek baar bhi policy bana do, main khud ki bhi nahi sunti." And I know it's a little Bollywood moment out there. We, by the way, don't take any Bollywood actors or brand ambassadors in our team as our product promoters. We tell our own team we have to be our own ambassadors. The reason we say that is, for example, I take a lot of effort to mentor young people in my team. Very often they have learned, they think they become very smart, and then they leave the company. It's a very heartbreaking moment when people who you've mentored have left. How many people have experienced that? It really hurts, I know. Here's the rule that I have. If you leave View, we'll be friends with you, but we'll never take you back. We'll never, ever, ever, unless you've broken your leg and you're sitting in the hospital for a year or something, we'll take you back. Today, 80% of people who have left my company have come back for their jobs. And I have stuck to it. I stick to my promises and I stick to my threats. If you're not going to take you, I am not going to take you. But if I promised you something, I will make sure you get it. So whether I reward my team saying that, look, if you manage to sell 25 numbers of this high-end TV, I'll give you a gold medal, he will at the end of it get a gold medal. That promises are there, but those threats are there. Which brings me always to this subject, that how does a woman especially bridge that gap of being extremely powerful and strict and proper and someone people are scared of, yet at the same time be graceful and warm and elegant and fun? How do you really bridge that gap? So I spend a lot of time thinking on these things. Obviously I have a lot of time free when I'm traveling to think. And I have a question for all of you here today. Which is the one Indian woman who all Indian men covet? Indira Gandhi. Okay? No? Anybody else? I have one answer, so let's see who comes up with the same thing. Aishwarya comes up every time. No. I'm sorry, mention who?
A servant who works in the house.
Indian men covet? Not so much, hopefully. Okay, who else?
Confident woman. A confident woman.
There's one person.
Your mother.
Too many answers. Okay, I'm gonna give it. Think about it.
Mother.
No. One woman. One person. All of us know her.
Mother Teresa. Sonia. Katrina Kaif.
Think about it. Every Indian woman wants her more than anybody else. I'm gonna give the answer. You think about it.
She herself.
I love the options in entrepreneurship concerns. The one Indian woman who all Indian men covet, respect, want to keep close, never let go of. Yeah, I'm sure the wives out here are saying that. Is Goddess Lakshmi. Ah, correct? All Indian men are doing puja in front of her. She's a picture of femininity, very graceful, very proper. But she can go and she can come. She's Chanchala or Chanchala, that's what they call her. She comes and she goes. That, I think, in my opinion, is what Indian women, forget Bill Gates, forget Steve Jobs, forget anybody in the West, forget a man. We should be inspired by our Hindu goddesses, Lakshmi, Saraswati, Durga. Because they are powerful, yet they are feminine. Am I right? They are holding defense, yet they are beautiful. They are holding finance, yet they are graceful. They are holding knowledge, yet they are soft. And I think today we have an opportunity as Indian women where in this generation we don't have to become men. I'm not wearing a black suit like I used to wear 10 years ago. I'm wearing as bright tomato red as possible because that's so I could wake up early morning and be charged for this. We can be feminine, we can be soft, we can be elegant, yet we have the power to make people scared of us. And that is what's very important. Machiavelli, who is this very popular minister in an Italian court, they say the best writer on politics like 600 years ago, he said, it's important for a leader to be loved and to be feared, but must he have to choose between the two, he should choose to be feared. In my opinion, as a businesswoman, the only drawback I see in women today is that they're scared of being feared. I've been told very often, that you intimidate people. And I said that's a good thing because I need that in my job. And if a guy gets intimidated by me, then he's probably useless to begin with, and that's fine with me. But it's important as a boss. I walk in and people should sit straight. I walk in, people should shut up. Like your teacher, like your principal. Think of women in power who you have. And that is the last part of my... No, I think I have some more time. But I would really like to focus for women. Spend time developing yourselves. Your health will show in your company's health. Your moods will show in your company's mood. The day you feel like growing your business will grow. The day you feel lazy, your company will go down. Which is the biggest challenge any entrepreneur or would-be entrepreneur have, that you have to wake up in the morning and say, this is what I want, and go after that. And if you wake up lazy, and if you wake up just being demotivated, your business will suffer. It's very important for all of us to understand these things. We really, as women, have to push ourselves. And at some point, we need to forget the fact, and I think some people will hate me for saying this, just forget that we're women. Just forget it, just be gender oblivious. I go to electronic markets across the country where I'm probably the only woman out there, that too in Western clothes or something. Am I comfortable? No. I'm probably uncomfortable. But I'm very comfortable being uncomfortable. Which is very important as an entrepreneur. At least in this generation. Hopefully when one of your daughters will be on the stage here in 20 years from now, it'll be a whole different scenario. But today if you walk into a bank or you walk into a dealer's place, you walk into a customer location, you are going to feel, it's very nice that there are so many women out here, because most technology events that I attend, there are no women out there. And I feel odd and I just feel like, why am I here, etc. Let that feeling pass. Let that feeling of no one understands what I'm doing pass. Let that feeling of what are people going to say pass. Let that feeling of why are people looking at me in a weird way pass. Don't really get into the deep dark crevices of people's minds. If I really sat and thought of what a guy is thinking of when he's in a meeting with me, I would never be able to do any work. So I'm like, you know what? I'm here to discuss business. I'm going to do my work and I'm going to get out. So very often when people ask me, what is it like being a woman on the job? I say, honestly, I don't know what it is like to be a man, so there's no comparison. And the fact, half the times it doesn't occur to me that I'm a woman on the job. I just have my job to do. I'm only focused with growing my business. That's it. Another aspect which women, I think, is really important is other women. This, let me tell you, is going to be a subject that people are going to hit me for. And I hope Times of India is not going to quote me on this. Yeah, please shut your ears right now. It's impossible to work with certain women. See, people are clapping. They all know we've been through that dramebaz in the office who pulled out her tears and her mother-in-law's problems, and her husband and her this and her that. It's a pain in the neck, let me tell you.
Spot on.
Correct? Why? I'm telling you, I'll give an example. When I was studying in the US, there was this one time where there was this whole project. We have team projects in business school. So there was one Mexican girl, me Indian, one American, one Chinese, one some other Jatki, I can't remember. Now we used to meet for meetings, and of course 5 minutes into the work discussion, the discussion began about boyfriends and fashion and etc, etc, etc. And we have great fun. Thoda kaam hota tha, we used to go back. The day of the presentation, the girl who was supposed to present me before me, the Chinese girl, she had to do an important part of the presentation. 15 minutes before the presentation is supposed to go on, she calls me up like, listen, I can't give it. Can you please give my presentation for me? I'm like, why? What happened now? Like, maybe accident kuch ho gaya hoga. Arey yeah, whatever, she said in Chinese, arey yeah, equivalent of Chinese. And she's like, oh, I broke up with my boyfriend and this, that, etc. I'm very upset. You know how bad it is. I told you what happened. And I was like, whatever, I don't care, just come and give the presentation. This is really funny. She really upset that her boyfriend broke up with her first before she broke up with him. And so she was sitting at home doing whatever tamasha, and I was sitting out there. I'm like, hello, I have a presentation to make. Forget your ex-boyfriend for 10 seconds, just come here and do your work and do it. No, but she didn't turn up. Whatever, she's like, you understand now. You know how it is now. And when you get that, say, I don't know how it is, it's your problem. That was the girl group. What I asked second time, I said, let me experiment what happens with guys. And so I took a marketing group which was 6 guys. I called them for work to my apartment, sat them on the floor, delegated the work, called for a pizza, had them fed, 2 hours my work was done. So get people. I'm not saying work with men. In my company, my head of finance, the most cut-up person in the world you'll ever meet, she's about this tall and people see her and start to sweat, is a woman. My head of corporate sales is a woman. My head of marketing is a woman, and we have head of legal is a woman, and we have a lot of women like that Lakshmi, Saraswati, Durga in the top spot. But we don't. Anytime I find women who do too much nakhra, drama, tears, crying, I tell them that, listen, if you cry in my office, I will throw you out. And I genuinely mean that. That is the biggest problem I find with women working today, is just too much drama. I know amazingly intelligent women, very, very capable, very, very talented, very, very able. But what draws them back is their inability to keep their emotions in check. And they spoil the work environment, and there's a lot of dramabazi that happens, and it just, oh yeah, what happened, and she said this to me, and then my mother-in-law said that. I don't care. None of my male employees come and tell me about their in-laws, so nor do you have to. So when women come to you, please learn to be that tough boss. You remember, it's not your job to please people. Bill Cosby said the secret to success, I don't know, but the secret to failure is trying to please people. And I find the biggest challenge with women today, at some point we have to please people. Be willing that people are going to be mad at you, that people will not understand you. There were 2 guys in my team who are very close part of my team. I specifically told them not to do something. They went ahead and did it. I said, no problem. I cut 5,000 rupees from their salary for the month, and I didn't speak to them for a week. Part karke bola in line. For that 1 week, I was tempted, it's okay, they're good guys, they've been with me for a long time, I should just speak to them, maybe I should just sort it, I don't like this feeling. No. Sit with the bad feeling. As an entrepreneur, you'll always have that pit in your stomach feeling bad about something. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. Fire people, get mad at them, and I'm only talking the workspace, okay? I'm not married with kids, so I have no experience in that area. Maybe I'll take feedback on that later. But have the capacity to be really tough with your team, even with the women. Women who've made it in my team are super powerful. Like, they're the kinds, and they're all like diminutive small women. They're not like some really powerful looking woman. Sweet, soft, but very powerful women. They inspire me. And that's what I really want to see. In India, our biggest drawback compared to China is that our women don't work. In China, you go, it's very funny, okay? Head of production is a man, and his boss, the chairman, is a woman. So when you go to China, you're treated like you're the top boss because women out there have very senior roles. In India, that's not there. In Mumbai, we're lucky. We're very fortunate to be in a city where women are respected. I know what it's like when I spend 4 days in Delhi in meetings. It's like people, you enter the office and they just go like... I don't care. I'm there to do my work. I'm there to meet your boss. I'm there to sell my TVs. I'm out. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. Do what you want. Come up with ideas. Surround yourself with people who you really like. If there's someone in a company who you don't like, fire them. I'm telling you, I've worked with people who are very intelligent, some men who I just feel did not fit into the scenario in the office, just fire them. Don't be afraid to fire people. Don't be afraid to fire people on their face. There was a guy in my team who's from Bhopal or something. Nothing against this city, but this is what this guy actually did. His work was terrible. And last minute, when something was due, he didn't give it, and he looked at me, and I told him, like, listen, this was the one chance which you had because everyone worked really hard for this project. You didn't do nothing. You just came up last minute. You're fired. This guy, he looks at me, and he's like, fine. In any case, I'm a guy, so I'm higher than you. And I think I laughed for about 15 minutes. I said, I've never heard of that concept being from Bombay. And we're very lucky in this city that for us, being a woman is not always on our mind synonymous with danger. And so we should consider ourselves fortunate that we are here. We already have a platform. Whoever says here that they don't have a platform for entrepreneurship, let me tell you, it's 50% taken care of for you. Just a last incident I'll share with you. Last year we opened a store in Jaipur. We have beautiful stores for you, flagship stores. My team again designs it ourselves. We don't outsource anything, as I mentioned. There were all these women who were my channel partners' wives and daughters or whoever, bahu, the dealers' bahu, wives, etc. In Jaipur at the store opening in Gungat, or at least here, or at least standing softly. And of course, I was out there at store opening, smiling for pictures, etc. And then it hit me. It hit me like a bucket of cold water on my face. It hit me, had my great-grandfather not left Rajasthan 100 years ago, I would have been one of those women. And so, I have to consider myself fortunate, even if I say, look, I have a disadvantage being in India, being a woman, or being young, or whatever the hell that is. Because there's always someone out there with less opportunity than you. And there's always someone out there with more opportunity than you. But as an entrepreneur, if you're driven by just doing what you want to do, you're not going to be bothered by it. I'm not bothered at all by what other people do, which I think is a tip that my brother gave me, which I would share with all women. Compete with yourself. I make a chart. I take chart paper, I tear out pictures, and I make a chart of where I want to be in 5 years. And then I work towards it. And then I achieve it, and then I tear down the chart, and I make another chart, and I put pictures and quotes again for the next 5 years. I only compete with myself. I'm least bothered what other people are doing. However, surround yourself with good people. I started this mentoring program myself about 1.5 years ago called Certified Genius, where I meet young women for coffee, and I give them ideas for their business because I enjoy business. I enjoy giving my ideas. So I worked with a friend of mine who's a silk furnishings company. I work with an event management company. I'm consulting for the Indian women's cricket team, even though I know nothing about cricket. I'm consulting with someone who did the Masala Bhangra workout. And it's just so much fun meeting other young women who are as driven and doing interesting work. That is my last tip. Make a good friend out of someone you've met today. Build that good circle of people with whom you can be inspired. Compete only with yourself. Be comfortable being uncomfortable, but be that entrepreneur. Get up every morning and say, what do I want to do? Figure that out and go ahead and do it. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Oh, if anybody wants my email address, my email is Devita, Devita, @ technologies,